Welcome to Jersey's Best Podcast, a weekly deep dive into everything that makes New Jersey spectacular, bizarre, beautiful, sometimes annoying, but always the best. My name is Jeremy Schneider. I'm a food and culture reporter for NJ.com and the Star Ledger, and I'm also your host. Your weekly reminder, you can send episode suggestions, guest ideas, and questions our way at jerseysbestpodcast@gmail.com. And follow us at Jersey's Best Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. If you like Jersey's Best Podcast, you're going to like the videos, memes, podcast clips, and all the silly stuff we're posting over there. Check it out. This week, Jersey's Best Podcast is taking a closer look at one of the Garden State's cultural and culinary cornerstones, diners. New Jersey is, in fact, the diner capital of the world. And no, that isn't classic Jersey hubris or hyperbole. There are around 500 diners in New Jersey, more than any other state. Eat it, New York. And by eat it, I mean eat delicious diner food from New Jersey. As impressive as that number is, though, you cannot quantify our state's love of diners. A vintage neon sign is more than a throwback to a bygone era. It's a beacon to weary travelers and Garden State residents alike. They're open late, some of them even 24 hours, and you can always get a table, booth, or a seat at the counter. Many of our signature foods like Taylor ham, or pork roll, scrapple, disco fries, and gyros, or gyros, are found at diners. We could talk about our favorite foods and favorite diners all day, but it goes much deeper than that. Why does New Jersey love diners? Why exactly are there so many diners here? And is diner culture changing here in the Garden State? There's only one guest I could have on for this deep dive on diners. He's the authority on New Jersey diner food, New Jersey diners, and the ultimate New Jersey diner expert. Hell, he literally wrote the book on them. He's NJ.com and the Star Ledger's food writer extraordinaire and returning guest, Pete Genovese. Pete, welcome back to Jersey's Best Podcast.
Thanks for having me back.
Hey man, the last time we had you on was so much fun. We had to do it again. We did underrated, overrated New Jersey foods, and now we're talking about diners. Pete, I when I think of diners, I think of you, not only because of your book, not only because so many of our conversations have been about diners, but because the first meal I ever shared with you was at a diner because you insisted that my welcome lunch to the NJ.com features team be at a diner, and I will always be appreciative of that.
Yeah, where'd we go?
Rio Diner.
And Woodbridge, sure.
Pretty sure I had a turkey club because that's one of my go-tos at Jersey diners. But I'm curious, what is your earliest memory of going to Jersey diners?
I would say, born in Trenton, grew up in Ewing, so probably the Ewing Diner. I mean, it wasn't a weekly visit. I don't think my parents were like big diner people. My mom always had to go to her favorite Italian restaurant in Chambersburg. So the Ewing Diner, and don't ask me what my first diner meal was. But then it's sort of that whole. It was dormant for a while. I went to school out in the Midwest, and it came back, and then it started hitting me that, damn, there are a lot of diners in New Jersey. And finally got around to writing a book. Went to every single frickin' one in New Jersey, 576 in Jersey Diner book. Did not eat at all 560. I just have pictures. Someday I'm going to find all those slides and put up a slideshow. I think that'd be pretty cool. So 576. How many there are now? Probably about 500. But there's so many. I see numbers thrown out. It's the internet. Okay, so you take it for granted. So NPR, 150 diners have closed in the last 10 years. Jersey diners. Mm-hmm. Obviously not true. Clearly not true. I mean, just on its face, it's just stupidly untrue. Maybe 10, and we've documented them on NJ.com. Of course. So, yeah, so stop me. I'm going on a little thing here.
That's what you're here for,
There's
man.
just so many numbers thrown out there. And don't get me, New York, stop it already.
Over.
There was just a story up the other day, 490 diners in the 5 boroughs. You'd be lucky if there are 100.
Well,
and they're mostly on Queens anyway.
We're going to get into all that, I promise.
Everything, they call luncheonettes diners, coffee shops. They're not diners. Stop it.
We're going to discuss New Jersey versus New York diners. We're going to discuss the definition of a diner. But before we do any of that, I feel like we need to get into the history of diners. And even in our pre-episode meeting, Pete Genovese was dropping knowledge on me about what I got wrong about diner history. So I'm just going to, Pete, I'll cede to you. What can you tell us about the history of New Jersey diners?
Well, I mean, they didn't start in Jersey. We're the diner capital of the world, but they didn't start here. They really go back to their first influence, Walter Scott, on the streets of Providence, Rhode Island, 1872. it was a lunch wagon basically drawn by a horse. So eventually they got rid of the horse. The cart became in a fixed location. It got bigger. It got bigger, and they put seats in, and it grew from there. And then in the 20s, we sort of diners as we know them today first started appearing on the scene. Maybe the first one, Jerry O'Mahony in Bayonne.
That was the name.
Late 20s, maybe the first. It's not been proven true. Then you had other diner builders come in, Coleman, Paramount, the Silk City, famous diner out of Patterson. But again, the first diner, that O'Mahony might have been the first Journey's diner, but no one's ever proven that one way or the other.
In my research, which you quickly educated me on, but Jerry O'Mahony of Bayonne built, according to the BBC, he built the first stationary lunch wagon around 1913, and eventually formed a prefabricated diner company that helped construct more than 2,000 diners between 1917 and 1956.
Yeah, again, it wouldn't have been the first stationary lunch wagon, because that would have been Walter Scott. That was a stationary lunch wagon, and a whole bunch of them. He had imitators in Providence and then in other in New England. So that might have been the first in New Jersey, but it certainly wasn't the first. Period.
Gotcha. And we do agree there are many diner manufacturers rose up in New Jersey. Talk about the Patterson Vehicle Company, Swingle, Paramount, the Coleman Diner Car Company. And at their peak in the 1950s, there were around 6,000 New Jersey diners, or New Jersey built diners, not just in New Jersey, but around the country. So I think one thing that's really cool about this situation, about New Jersey diner culture, is that even if the diner isn't in New Jersey, there is a chance that it was built in New Jersey.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I question the 6,000 diners because, again, you go west of Pittsburgh and you can count on about 5 hands the number of diners, not places that have diner in their name. That doesn't qualify you as a diner. But so 6,000, I really kind of doubt it. But there were certainly maybe a couple of thousand. I don't know.
And part of the reason for the expansion or the popularity, the structures were simple enough to be loaded onto trucks and trains, and then many of them were outfitted with shiny steel and alluring neon lights and signs to attract drivers, and that's which kind of leads into why New Jersey diners were so prevalent. An influx of Greek immigrants to the Garden State, many of whom opened diners, helped fuel the boom, and then also New Jersey's elite road infrastructure. Bet you never thought you'd hear those words in a combination like that. Plus the state's dense working class population helped New Jersey diners thrive and really, really boom.
Yeah, I mean, there's all those factors. The highway system enabled trucks to move quickly, those diners quickly. And these diners, like I said, the 40s and 50s were sort of like the boom era of diners. They were rolling off the assembly line quicker than cars. I mean, that's how fast they were built, and there was such a demand for them. And a lot of the reason you don't see too many out in the Midwest or West is it was freaking expensive to move these diners. And all the diner builders were in New Jersey, so there was it was a small state, but there was plenty of highways, plenty of real estate to locate a diner. And that was, you mentioned the Greeks, and still a lot of the diner owners in New Jersey are Greeks. But the big reason, they emigrated to America. A lot of them worked in restaurants and cafes in Greece, so they naturally were looking for jobs in that industry when they ended up in New York and finally came over to New Jersey. I talked the Park West Diner in Little Falls, right down the road from the TikTok, is one of the owners told me this story. It's in my, not in the Jersey Diner books, but I've written about him before. He was poor. He had no money. He was sleeping on a park bench in New York before he finally found a job. And then he hooked up with one guy, hooked up with another guy, and now three, started as dishwashers, got off that park bench, started as dishwasher. This story is right. It's not a one-of-a-kind story. It's just, you talk to a lot of diner owners. It's similar, especially the ones that came over from Greek. So, and the three of them eventually bought this fancy diner out on Little Falls. Which has, incidentally, the best diner salads in New Jersey.
And this goes to show that these diners are deeply ingrained in our identity, and it's not just, it's a history thing. It's the fact that this boom, all the factors were there to make this happen. The seeds were planted, and I guess it's funny to hear in multiple articles and multiple sources I looked at complemented New Jersey's road infrastructure in this in the diner boom, which is like we complain about highways all the time. We complain about traffic all the time. We do it right here on the podcast. But I guess when these roads were being built, it was very convenient for people to drive, and whether you're living in Jersey or whether you're going through Jersey to get to New York or elsewhere, you're hungry and you're seeing these signs, and diners are quick, diners are fast. You can get in out and have your meal and go about your day.
Yeah, well, we're the most highway-intensive state, the most densely populated state. There's a couple factors right in there to sort of help to keep diners alive. And as far as I'm concerned, they're forever. I mean, they're not going anywhere. So we're going to lose a couple every year. We also lose a bunch of restaurants every year. No one's talking about the decline of big chain restaurants. So a diner closes, it's like big deal. Okay, yeah. But there's a lot of factors. It's some diner owners, they're retiring, they don't want to deal with the prices of food and supplies. They're just tired of the damn business. Their kids don't want to run it. So diners aren't closing because there's the customer base has gone down. Diners are closing for all these other reasons.
And while the diner business might be changing, it's still very present in New Jersey. There's still hundreds of diners here, even if some of the biggest ones have closed or some of our favorites have closed. For me, I think the reason we love diners so much is just like everything in the state, everyone has a favorite. Everyone has a diner that they grew up going to. I mean, I grew up going to TikTok Diner and still have very fond memories of going there. Pilgrim Diner also. It was just like you have a favorite pizza place, favorite bagel place. You have a favorite diner too. I remember these debates with my friends. Like, all right, we got to hit the diner. Where are we going? And someone would say Six Brothers, and someone would say Pilgrim, and someone would say TikTok. And that's all in one little stretch of New Jersey. Those debates are happening everywhere. It's the nostalgia, and it's also just the accessibility. The fact that these diners are open so late, you can get pretty much whatever like a diner menu is basically an encyclopedia of food. I remember going to Union Plaza Diner and one of my old coworkers complaining that the menu was too big, and I was like, that's the point. You can get whatever you want here, and that's you want to get breakfast at midnight? Great. You want to get roast beef sandwich at 8 a.m.? Sure, why not? You got to get at the counter, get at the booth. Why do you think we love diners so much?
Again, they've been part of our culture for so long. I mean, if there's one thing, word association, if you say New Jersey, maybe to people, especially the people who don't live in Jersey, they might say diners. Because what else? They're not going to say the Mets or the Jets or whatever. The Shore, maybe. I think the Shore is the only thing that rivals diners in terms of its hold on the Jersey
psyche.
Yeah. But I think if you walked outside right now and interviewed 10 people at random, have you ever been to a diner? I wouldn't be surprised if all 10 said yes. May not be for a while. Maybe they're going to wherever, a chain restaurant. But they're everywhere. That's the point. I mean, it's not just a North Jersey thing. They're in every county. They're in the middle of the Pine Barrens. They're down the shore. They're Salem County, Gloucester, Cumberland, all the far reaches of the state, Sussex. They're everywhere. You don't have to go far to find a Jersey diner.
That's a good point for me to bring this up, though. How does a North Jersey diner compare to a South Jersey diner, Pete?
I don't think there's a big, in the food. Probably in the food. You're going to get your Taylor ham sandwiches up north. You're going to get pork roll the way it should be identified down south. Scrapple, South Jersey thing, snapping turtle soup.
I've never had snapping turtle soup. What is that?
I brought it in. Maybe you weren't part of the team right now, but I brought it into one of our team meetings, and no one tried it. It looked like mud, liquid mud is what it looked like, but it had a great musky, earthy taste to it. I loved it.
Is it it's made with actual turtle?
Yeah. So Ponto's Diner, which is probably the best-known diner in South Jersey, they have this whole production. They get the turtles, and they strip the whatever, and they put it in this big old vat and steam it out until it's ready, and then cut it up and throw it in the soup. So it isn't like canned turtle soup. They get real snapping freaking turtles. And there's other, Elmer Diner down in South Jersey also is a big deal for snapping turtle soup. But again, the looks, not so much. I mean, you might find more bigger diners in North Jersey than South, but they're they really look pretty much. Of course, you don't have a Tops down in South Jersey. Ponzio's may come the closest, but it's not Tops. Tops is like this whole freaking Hollywood spectacular. But apart from that, again, every county, they're everywhere.
It's the beauty of it. And I mean, but for me, I grew up going to TikTok because I grew up miles from there. And I remember when I talked to people about TikTok and people were going, oh, that's the diner, that's the best. And even if they weren't from the Essex County or the Clifton area, like I was, I didn't realize what a big deal TikTok was. I just thought that was standard. I was like, yeah, doesn't everyone have a TikTok? Doesn't every part of the state have a go-to diner, a meeting place? Because they kind of like the bagel shops in the morning. I feel like diners kind of become like a town square. You see everyone in town at the diner on a Saturday morning or a Saturday night after everyone's gone out. I mean, didn't disco fries get their start at diners because people were leaving disco clubs in the diner and in the fries?
Yeah. And I found, I mentioned this in the intro to my Jersey Diner books. They're really a community center, as you said, town square. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the best place. Well, I covered Woodbridge for not very long, but I could always catch the mayor and the council members at the Rio Diner. Mm-hmm. That was their
great diner.
Bob Grant, it was a well-known radio host. He had I think it was a weekly radio show in a corner booth at the Rio. But and where do politicians go when there's always a stop at a diner? It's very photogenic. There's always a customer. You can always people to talk to. People don't go to diners to hide out. They get engaged in conversation with the waitress, person sitting next to them, make new friends. It's really sort of a fun gathering place.
A very social place.
That you don't get. I don't think you get at a chain restaurant. You don't have it because you're sort of cocooned in a booth, sort of separated. Mm-hmm. Diners, you're sort of kind of on top of each other, right? And you get, like I said, especially if you sit at the counter, you can easily strike up a conversation. I think they're much more prone to sociability than other restaurants.
What makes a good diner? And also, what makes a diner a diner?
Well, what makes it? There's some disagreement. To me, diners, stainless steel, chrome on the outside, but a lot of diners don't have that. The TikTok. Mm-hmm. There's some strips of stainless outside, but you have to have the stainless inside. I think that what makes stainless and the swivel stools with the counter. If you don't have the front counter, I don't think you're a diner. Boots aren't enough. So the stainless steel, what they call the back bar. Mm-hmm. And the reason why stainless, some might wonder, why is there so much freaking stainless steel in all these diners? The diner builders, it was just easier to clean than a wall. Wall got all greasy and spattered with everything. Stainless steel, get a rag, whoop, wipe
so it's
off.
all function.
Disappear. So that's why you see so much stainless steel. But again, you have to have the counter, you have to have the swivel stools. If the stools aren't fixed, I don't know. Come on, unswivel those.
You have a lot of a rubric here that I admire, because for me, a diner, it's almost like, I don't know if I can define it. I agree, having diner in the name does not make you a diner. It's the kind of thing, it's a certain feel, it's a certain vibe that you get at a diner. It's the no frills of it all. It's the working class of it all. If a wait staff is too friendly, I almost don't feel like it's a diner. I want to be bullied a little bit by my diner waiter or waitress. I want you to please give me shit for how long I'm taking to make my order, even though I promise I won't. I know exactly what I want. Please roll your eyes at me. One time we were at Six Brothers Diner. I think it was the night before Hurricane Sandy hit, actually. And me and a bunch of my friends ordered milkshakes and wings around midnight.
That's a combo. At midnight. That explains it.
Boom, boom, boom. And we made the order, and the waitress, she double tastes and goes, "Never order this again." And I've never been more scared in my life at a diner.
The two things together, what was she referring to? Both? The milkshake and the wings? Or?
I think it was that we were asking for a milkshake at midnight or so. And the night before a natural disaster was about to hit. But I get it. I mean, frankly, I don't think a waiter or waitress at a diner would be afraid to tell you either they're not going to make something for you, or they don't have it, even if they actually do. I mean, working that milkshake machine is not fun. And frankly, I typically don't actually like milkshakes at diners because I think that it's I'll go for an egg cream at a diner before I go for a
Egg
milkshake.
cream?
Love
Ooh,
an
that's
egg
cool.
cream.
Yeah.
That's my Jewish culture shining through.
Yeah, so I like the waiters, waitresses that, as you refer to, that tell you like, don't try this, try this. You know, don't do that. Was like, it's been sitting around since last week. But I like my diner waitresses to be, hi honey, hi sweetheart. Yeah, I don't need bullying. That bullying doesn't go with breakfast. Sorry.
It does for me. That's a personal problem, I guess. But I do love, and I've experienced this many times when I'm having a meal at a diner, and I can't. It feels like the waitress doesn't love me at the beginning, but by the end she's smiling and calling me honey and stuff, and I'm like, I did something right. But this is a good opportunity. Tip your diner waiters and waitresses. Treat them with respect. It is one of the hardest. Working in restaurants is hard in general, but working at a diner, man, you got to be on your feet like crazy. The turnaround on tables is insane. It's just. I've never worked at a diner. In fact, that sounds like a fun story idea. But it's so hard to do and to be good at it. And there's a reason that you see older waiters and waitresses at diners. They're career waiters and waitresses, and you got to be good to do that.
Yeah. There's so much pressure, demands. Customers. Good customers, bad customers. Demanding customers. I'm not sure I could do that.
We haven't talked that much about the food yet, so let's get into that a little bit, Pete. What is your go-to What is your go-to order at a diner?
Well, it depends on the time of day. First of all, here's a confession. I never miss breakfast. I never eat lunch. I'm not a lunch person.
Food writer who doesn't eat lunch. Okay.
I eat twice. Unless I'm on a food mission. I'm doing fried chicken this week, so I'll be eating fried chicken for lunch. And we've done all these food lists, so lunch is involved. But I'm not eating lunch as a normal course of a thing. I only eat twice a day: breakfast, dinner. I don't need. That's why I can keep my girlish weight, I guess.
You look great.
Yeah, it's like, Pete, how come you don't weigh 400 pounds? Well, I don't know. I've kind of been this way all my life, maybe. But I don't think it's not just because I'm not eating lunch. But lunch just slows me down, and it's like, even if it's like noon, 1 o'clock, I'm still ordering breakfast. Gotta have my coffee. Gotta have my whatever, pancakes, French toast, bagel.
So let's say you're getting breakfast at a diner. What are you getting?
Pancakes, French toast, eggs over easy, bacon well done. That bacon better be well done. I mean, I've gone to places like burn it. I'll say that, burn it, and they will, and I like that. Just like that's fine. And I'll put a photo up and like, that bacon's burnt. Yeah, that's the way I ordered it. Home, one of my go-to scrambled eggs with bacon. Nothing like good fresh eggs and some nice burnt bacon. It's not really burnt, but it's just well done. And dinner, again, just depends. If I cook a lot at home, so that varies. I'm Italian, so pasta always figures into it. This has nothing to do with diners. Yeah. Make me stop. Pete reveals his weird eating habits.
Hey, I'm here for it. People want to know. But if you're your breakfast order at a diner. Let's say you're getting your dinner at a diner. What are you getting?
It's like roast chicken, steak. Not too many diners do good steaks, but I did a piece I ranked all the remaining 24-hour diners, and there are a couple great steaks, ribeye especially, my favorite steak. So yeah, I like a steak. I'm not vegetarian, so I'm not going to order the tofu special.
I wouldn't get tofu at a diner. No, that doesn't feel like tofu. I know there's like vegetarian and vegan diners and stuff, but that feels like a sin to me.
Well, there's a big, in the last couple of years, you see a lot of diners that offer gluten-free options.
For sure.
And it wasn't like 5-10 years ago. No way. Nobody knew what gluten was. But now they've been pretty good. They've gone, despite their reputation as, big, heavy, unnutritious food. A lot of diners have, listened to their...
They're adapting.
Customer, yeah. So gluten-free, gluten is here to stay.
Lots of gluten-free stuff. I've seen it like Impossible burgers, but also I think a diner veggie burger is a very specific. It's kind of like that patty of like, I don't know if it's like a black bean but a garden burger, I guess you'd call it. But I love a classic burger at a diner. For me, if it's breakfast, and the beautiful thing is, I'll get breakfast at midnight. I don't care. That's the beauty of a diner. You can get whatever you want. But I always will get eggs over easy with hash browns, Taylor ham, white toast. I'll take that toast. I'll dunk it in the over easy eggs. I'll get some grape jam in the mix, add some sweetness. If I'm not feeling breakfasty, I mean, I'll get pancakes, but I get them for the table.
Pancakes for the table.
Yeah, shit. Because I think
What's that in The Sopranos?
it should have been
the table.
a whole stack of pancakes on your own is a choice. But if I'm not getting that, I'm probably getting a turkey club. I love a turkey club, and I feel like I've never had a bad one at a diner. They do a really good job with it. I'm getting disco fries for the table because I've never seen. Even if someone says they don't want disco fries, they're lying.
They're hard to resist.
Yeah. You put that on the
hard to
table,
resist.
especially at Top's Diner, which does I think maybe the best disco fries in the state. We should do a ranking of that, Bobby. It's just so good. They do the gravy on the side so it doesn't get soggy, and that's so good. But I'll admit this here. My initial diner order is something I would never get in 2025. When I was a kid at TikTok Diner, I used to get fried clam strips.
Fried clam strips. I wonder if they're even on the menu.
I hope not. I hope there's
from the Passaic River. Fresh from the Passaic.
And the best part is my parents make fun of me for it now. I'm like, you guys let me do it. Like I was 6 years old. What kind of autonomy or agency do I have? They'd say, no, Jeremy, get chicken fingers. That's probably a safer. There's no way those were fresh fried clam strips at TikTok. It's not like we were down the shore at Mike's Seafood or whatever. I can't believe my parents let me do that. But to this day, I really do love fried clam strips, just not at a diner. Is there anything?
Well, let me jump in.
Please.
Shocking confession. I don't like hash browns.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, I know. Diner guy doesn't do. Yeah, just give me freaking like I said, bacon. Something else.
You don't want to starch in the
just
mix.
the texture. I'm not a big white potato. I've said is one of the most boring foods on earth.
You have
the
said
white
that.
potato, sweet potato. I can't get enough. So I'm not anti-potato, but hash browns are just too mushy and that brown crispy thing going on there. Yeah, never mind.
I love that.
I have had them, and was kind of turned off.
Pete Genovese has a lot of food hang-ups for a food writer, and I admire that. I love when you get like a slurry of
I'm discriminating. That's the way I look at it.
discriminating. Okay, like you're choosy, or no, that's not the word. You're
choosy. Yeah.
particular. I think you and I are both particular about this.
Well,
That's our job.
we both of us will try anything.
Yes.
If we're doing whatever it is, pizza, Korean, Japanese, not tofu, but so you're trying everything and you're not liking everything. That's one great myth about being a food writer. Oh, I tell people what I do. Oh, I eat my way around New Jersey. Oh, I want your job, and my answer is no, you don't. No, you don't. The driving alone can drive you nuts. We have to take photos. You have to write the story. We have to please the editor. Hey, Bobby. There's just so much. Yeah, and you're eating a lot of. And people don't get this part. You're eating a lot of mediocre food. You're not writing about the mediocre food because they're not going to end up on our 10 best list. But there's a lot of mediocre to bad food that we eat, and people don't see that.
It's a tough job. Someone's got to do it. And I mean, it is. I like people. I want that job. Like, it is not as easy as it sounds.
It's fun. Most of the
a
time,
lot
it's
of
fun.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Like you get to interview,
But it's not glamorous.
Definitely not. But Pete, what? I guess I want to ask you this before we move on from the food. Is there anything you would not order at a diner?
No, I don't think so. Because if it's on the menu, someone must like it. They're not throwing something on. They're not throwing a snapping turtle soup because it's kind of a oddball thing. It's on because people love it and they want it. So I'll try anything once. I mean, that's sort of my general food code. I'll try anything once. I've eaten bugs, I've eaten scorpions, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll eat anything.
But
once.
would you get lobster at a diner?
Sure.
Ooh, I don't know, man.
It depends on what diner. It depends where they're at. If they're down the shore, obviously that's not a big deal. If they're up in in the woods somewhere and lobster's on the menu, I might think twice. Yeah, I mean you got to consider where you're at and what they do. I always say at a diner, at restaurants in general, I like to look at the chef specials or the daily specials. Those are always sort of where the diner, where the restaurant gets a chance to sort of experiment, be creative. Not that the rest of the food isn't creative, but that's always a good thing to look. But yeah, lobster, why not? Yeah.
I
No?
see. I wouldn't do
You had
it.
a bad experience?
No. It just there's something I'm like diametrically opposed to the idea of like getting the bib on and cracking into a lobster, like at a place where I would usually get a turkey sandwich or fries. But when it comes down to it, I think what makes diners so special is you can get a turkey sandwich or a lobster dinner, or you can get a steak, or you can get a Greek salad. And I think that versatility, no one's going to say, oh, I don't want to go to the diner, because like no matter what, you could be the pickiest eater in the world, and there's still going to be something for you in that giant menu.
Yeah, but you still, because as Jerseyans, maybe a true Jerseyan always loves diners, but there are a lot of Jerseyans who look down on diners still. I mean, they had that whole greasy spoon image back in the 40s and 50s. They were a little disreputable. They were a little dirty and down on their heels. Now, some of that image is still going on today. The diners are kind of looked down. Oh, I don't want to go there; they're too expensive. And sometimes they'll bring up tops, which is not a cheap place to eat. Although you can find value on the menu, but it's like, I'm not going, it's too expensive, or they're just serving greasy stuff. That's totally not true.
Anyone that doesn't want to eat at a diner, if they're too good for a diner, they're too good for me. I'm good on that. I mean, come on, man, it's a diner. Get a cup of coffee. Nothing like if you're not hungry, just come. I love going to a diner and just getting coffee and maybe a pound cake, or we'll get fries for the table or whatever.
Pound cake.
Yeah, or you never had pound cake at a diner? It's delicious. All right,
I
Pete.
can see 10 best pound cakes in New Jersey ranked. I can see it.
What is the future of New Jersey diners, Pete? Because we've talked a little bit about this. We've written about it. 24-hour diner culture is changing. I wouldn't say it's dead or dying, but it's changing. Some of the best diners in the state have closed. Maybe not as many as maybe the demise of the diners being overstated.
Greatly exaggerated.
But some have closed, and also. I mean, you look at Top's Diner. It's a new diner. I mean, it's not what it used to be. It's on the fancier side, and I've seen more and more. I mean, Brownstone Diner in Jersey City is now, I think, Life Pancake Company, and it's like fancier. It's like a fancy. There's this proliferation of fancy diners. So, what does the future of New Jersey diners look like?
Well, to me, I've said it in this book, and I'll say it 30 years later. The diners are forever. I mean, they're not, they're closed in the last couple of years for other reasons that don't have to do with demand, rising prices, COVID, people retiring. Okay, so that's out of the way. So the 24-hour diner, yes, there weren't thousands. I mean, I showed you the stories before. Mm-hmm. There weren't thousands of 24-hour diners back in the day, hundreds maybe. But now, so in 2020, when COVID hit, I did a story on 24-hour diners, and the headline was 24-hour diner is, dying a slow death, because I only found, I think, 3 diners that were open 24 hours. Skip ahead 4 years later, last year I did a look at it again. I found 16 diners, which to me was a big surprise. So a lot of these diners that were closed decided to reopen. They found staff. They could afford the price. There are people asking them, how come you're not open 24 hours? So 16, which is, I think, a healthy number, coming back from 2 or 3 just 4 years previous. So the 24-hour diner, I don't think it's coming back totally. You're not going to suddenly have 100 24-hour diners within 5 years. Mm-hmm. But to me, the diners aren't going anywhere. There's still about 500. And they're just so much a part of Jersey. It's like taking away the shore. It's like somebody just sort of taking the shore and moved it 50 miles offshore. It just wouldn't be, Jersey just wouldn't be the same. It would be a devastating blow to our life and culture. So Jersey Diner's not going anywhere. Again, they may get bigger. They may go the Tops route. And on that, I'm glad to see there's so many small diners and small town diners around. They haven't had the inclination to get bigger. I only have 30 seats, but it's fine, and I probably could do so much bigger business with 100 seats. But I'm perfectly happy with my 30-seat diner, and to me, those Those are like the shining examples of Jersey diners. Those small diners, like the Summit.
I'm glad to see that there are more 24-hour diners coming back. I guess that makes sense with, we're post-peak COVID, and there was definitely a big, I think, recalibration of the dining industry post-COVID, and there's still a desire for late night eats, and there's still a desire for late night diners. I remember I went to Broadway Diner in Bayonne, and they great diner, and they had the 24-hour sign, but they weren't open 24 hours anymore, and it was such a bummer for me. I had to go settle for Wendy's or something, but I'm glad to see 24-hour diners are back. There are certain diners that I think will never close. TikTok, Tops, Summit Diner. I'm really good on the fancy diner thing. I don't want eggs Benedict at a diner.
No.
That's to me that's what you get at the bougie brunch spot. I mean, I don't need hollandaise sauce coming from a diner kitchen. And I will say, I went to TikTok Diner a few years back, and they had completely renovated and completely redone the menu, and they gave me French press coffee, and they gave me like lemon ricotta pancakes. And I remember I was so bummed out by it that I insisted on going back for a second time to see if it was completely lost. And it wasn't the first visit was one of the worst restaurant experiences I've ever had, because it took me like an hour to get my check for like door in, door out, and that's not, diner's supposed to be quick. Bada bing, bada boom, get in, get out. And that was not the case. Second time I went, it was not as terrible, but still didn't feel the same. And I don't want a fancy diner. I don't need renovations. I don't need. I'm happy for a big menu, but I don't want I don't want avocado toast. I don't want eggs Benedict. I don't want French press coffee. That's for. I'll get that at Raymond's in Montclair. I don't need that at a diner.
Kind of a bit on the snobby side. The reason lemon ricotta pancakes are on the menu is that people have asked for them to be on the menu. They're not there just for decoration. French press coffee, why not? It beats a lot of diner coffee. It's just sort of bland and, it's not even hot a lot of the times.
See, that's what I want,
how do you not have hot coffee?
But I love... For me and coffee, I either want it to be super fancy, like I'll get it at a coffee shop, or if I'm getting a diner, I want it to be lukewarm, or sometimes it's way too hot, but I'm fine with it being scorched and kind of, maybe overcooked. It still tastes good to me. When I think of diners, I don't think of good coffee. I think of diner coffee. I don't know if that makes any sense.
And again, you can pick your diner experience. You go to a smallish diner. There's only going to be so many things on the menu. You go to Tops or a big like a TikTok. You could choose anything. I mean, I think that's the glory of some of these all diners in general, but especially the bigger diners that Chit Chat Diner and Tops, probably the most diverse menus in the state, diner menus in the state. You name the cuisine, it's on there. And again, it's on there because they're catering to a diverse group of people. They're not just one type of culture that they're serving. They're catering to a diverse group of customers, and so that's why these menus. I say the more the better. Bring on those lemon ricotta pancakes.
Okay, so
it's
you're
ricotta. It's ricotta.
I'm
it's ricotta.
I mean, I just don't want to. I don't. Your culture is not my costume. You know what I mean? I'm not Italian. Ricotta. But no. So you're pro fancy diner.
I'm not anti-fancy diner. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to go, if I have a choice of diner, if I have someone from out of state take me to one diner, I'm not going to take them to Tops. No, I'm going to take them to Summit Diner, which is my number one. I ranked diners. That was my number one because it just screams Jersey diner. It's small, the barrel roof, self-serve water dispenser. The grill's right in freaking front of you. You can see and smell your food being cooked. So I'm going to take them to a Summit or a smallish diner. I'm not going to take them to Tops.
Well,
and I love Tops.
That's a good segue into our final segment, Pete. This has been a lot of fun. Almost as fun as going to a diner with you. But before we go, I need to run you through the Garden State Gauntlet Diner Draft Edition. We're doing something a little different. Shouts to All Fantasy Everything. We love doing drafts. We're going to go back and forth and draft our Jersey Diner Mount Rushmore. Basically, take turns making our picks for our top 4 diners. if once a pick is made, that diner is off the board. I'm gonna give you the first pick, and we'll go back and forth from there. Are you ready for the Garden State Gauntlet?
I am ready.
Let's do it with the first pick in the Jersey Diner Draft. Pete Genovese takes.
I have to go with the number one diner on my list, the ranked list I did a couple of years ago, and that's the Summit Diner. It has the history, tradition, atmosphere. It's just again, you're not going to get fancy food there. You're certainly not going to get lemon rhubarb pancakes. It's just good, hearty, blue collar kind of food, and it's just an incredible. Jimmy, the owner, has been there forever. He vows he will never, ever have avocado on the menu. I was there 2 weeks ago. We shot a thing with CBS on diners. He said, never, ever I will put avocado anywhere in my diner. So, yeah, you got to love it.
Summit Diner.
Summit Diner and Summit.
A+. That's if I had the first pick, that's probably what I'd be taking. The food's very good. The experience is even better. You talk about throwback diner experiences. That's it, man. It's you're in the little claustrophobic train car. I made the mistake of trying to go there once. Is it not a train car?
Not train car.
It feels like a train car.
No diners. No diners are ever train cars.
Okay.
That's another myth. That just keeps perpetuating through the years. There might have been one or two or three, but they were never modeled after train cars. Yeah, because train travel was very popular in the 40s and 50s. Everybody wanted to go on a train trip, so they were modeled to look like train cars, but they were never train cars.
And this is why you have Pete Genovese on to talk diners and not just let me ramble on and on.
Checks in the mail, right?
It's not from me. It's from NJ Advanced Media, baby. All right, so the first pick was Summit Diner. Really good pick. That you're putting me on the spot here. I have a lot of options with the number 2 pick. Oh, man, and I'm gonna go.
I know where you're going.
No, you don't. I don't think you do. With the number 2 pick in the New Jersey Diner Draft, I will take Miss America Diner in Jersey City.
Yeah.
I love it very much. I have great memories going there. When the waitress started to know my name, I felt like I'd leveled up in Jersey City culture. And a lot of diners have changed. Miss America has not changed at all. I know. And is there an association with the Miss America pageant or not?
Not the pageant, no. But there's a chapter on the owner. I'm not sure if he's still alive. Chapter on the Miss America in my Jersey Diner book. So he was so happy to be in America that Miss America, but no connection to the pageant.
I love it. Every time I go there, it's a treat. Is it the best food I've ever had? No. Is it the best experience I've had at a diner? It's right up there. Maybe I have a few others in mind. We'll see if I get them. Pete, with the number 3 pick in the draft, who do you take?
I'm gonna go. My favorite shore diner, Mustache Bill's, Barnegat Light.
Ooh.
Just a great, shiny, classic 50s diner, only open during the summer. It put up for sale a couple of years ago. It hasn't been bought yet. And, of course, the fear is that when it's bought, somebody's going to knock it down. It's like, I think, 5 house lots that it comprises, a big piece of property. So the fear is that diner's going to be torn down or moved, and we're putting up $1 million condos. So that's the fear. But he's still open. He still hasn't sold it. And Bill, there was a Bill. He grew a mustache in high school, never took it off. So that's Mustache Bill's. Great omelets, probably the best omelets down the shore. In Barnegat Light, which is sort of like the forgotten town on LBI, way at the tippy top north by the lighthouse, of course. So Mustache Bill's, Barnegat Light.
I've never gotten there, and I'm dying.
Oh.
Because it's only open I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And I've never.
And there's a wait. Sometimes you have. Yeah. So there's that.
Worth the wait. I'm dying to get there. Eventually, I will. With the 4th pick in the draft, I will take, and this is I'm kind of skirting things here because it's temporarily closed, but it isn't officially closed yet. I'm taking Ben Dick's Diner in Hasbrook Heights.
Yeah.
Really, currently in limbo right now with the history or the future of this diner, but the past is incredible. It's a throwback. The neon lights, the no frills, just what do you want vibe in there. The wait staff is incredibly friendly there.
And the blind diner owner.
He's a legend.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
I had a chapter in this book, and he's still around, still kicking. So that's great to see.
His name is John Diakakis.
Diakakis.
Yeah. John Diakakis.
Sounds Greek.
John Diakakis is one of the nicest people I've ever met in the world. I'll tell you, funny story. I went there with my parents shortly before they closed, and temporarily closed, hopefully. And I thought I lost my sunglasses there, so I called them. I called the diner, and John answers, and he's talking to me, and he's like, "Oh, like I'm not sure." Well, I'm blind, so I can't see. Let me get my I think it was his son or his nephew. They FaceTimed me to show me their lost and found.
That's wild.
And my glasses weren't there. I found them eventually, but it was so nice of them to do. They didn't need to do that. And so even if the food was terrible, which is not, it's delicious. Even if it didn't, I mean, they're so nice. I love it. I love them so much. Beyonce filmed something there recently. God bless her. Beyonce, please buy Ben Dick's Diner and keep this family working, because it's everything that's great about New Jersey diners, and I hope it lasts forever. We'll see. We are halfway through the draft.
Rename it the Cowboy Diner or something.
Name it the Beyonce Diner. I don't call it whatever you want. Just save the Ben Dick's Diner.
B.
Yep, exactly. Queen Bee Diner. Queen Bee Diner would be a great diner name. Pete, this is your third pick.
Let's go way to the top of Jersey. Branchville up in Sussex County along 206, the 5-Star Diner. It's just, again, a great sort of shining jewel stainless steel diner. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You're driving up 206, farms and everything, and all of a sudden this diner appears out of the mist. Like, whoa, let's stop there. Big lot. Lots bigger than most small towns, but food you don't ordinarily get at a classic Jersey diner. They'll do like specials. They had a French toast with berries, whatever. There was a whole bunch of things. Pork chops, which were to die for. So check them out. 5-Star Diner in Branchville. Same owners for quite a few years. But again, 206 in Branchville.
I have not been to that diner. I've not even heard of that diner, and I'm not surprised at all that you would put me onto that. Next time I'm up there, I will check it out, Pete. Sounds awesome. With my third pick in the Garden State Diner draft, I will take the Colonial Diner in Lyndhurst, which I stumbled upon on I was driving with a friend somewhere, I forget where, and we were starving, and I said, screw it, let me give this spot a shot. And it's fantastic, real old school. They're old school, yet I had Reese's Pieces pancakes there, which were phenomenal. The staff was lovely. I think it was around Halloween, because they had crazy Halloween decorations up. I took a bunch of pictures, but they have the classic counter. They have the classic, bakery display. Anytime I'm nearby, if I'm anywhere near the Meadowlands, I'm trying to hit Colonial Diner. Have you been, Pete?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Why am I even asking?
Please, dude. Again, went to every single diner in New Jersey.
There we go.
But that was 30 years ago. Again, a lot of some of them have closed, but yeah.
All right, Pete. We each have one last pick. This is your last pick.
I've got to go. We got to give South Jersey some love, since it never gets enough love. And a great classic small town diner, Angelo's Glassboro Diner in Glassboro. Again, smaller than it could fit in this room almost. It's a small diner. They were one of 10 finalists when we did this Best Diner Showdown a few years ago. And yeah, it's just same owners. I think they did sell it though a couple years ago, but and nothing has changed, thank God. And if you want scrapple, that's the place to go. The South Jersey choice of breakfast meat.
If you had to choose between scrapple, if you had to choose between scrapple and pork roll for the rest of your life, what are you taking?
Pork roll, yeah. Scrapple's an acquired taste. I mean, I've eaten it enough times, but yeah, pork roll, please. Pork roll, egg and cheese. Nothing tops that.
All right, well, Pete, it's my last pick here, the last pick of the draft, and there's two icons left on the board. I could take either of them just for the value. I mean, one of them would be Top's Diner, which we've discussed in length. I'm a fan, but to me, it doesn't really feel like a diner anymore, because it is on the fancier side, because you need a reservation sometimes, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to take the complete nostalgia pick here. I'm going to take the TikTok Diner. My earliest memories of diners are at TikTok Diner. I mean, there was the flag. Whether it's the fried clam strips, whether it's the time I was so hungry that as soon as we sat down, I took a bite of a roll and realized it was a roll from the previous customers, and there was a bite out of it too. I was a weird kid. I remember going here after Power Rangers Live at Continental Airlines Arena. I remember going here with my pops and just having a coconut cream pie and a cup of coffee and just reflecting on how great it is to live in the state of New Jersey. No, TikTok isn't the same to me anymore because of the renovation, because I think they are trying to get a bit too fancy. But when I think diner, when I think New Jersey diner, when I think any diner, I think about TikTok diner.
Yeah, well, Tops and TikTok are inarguably the two most if not the most popular, the most well-known diners in North Jersey. And TikTok, location. I mean, it's right on the major highway. It's all the traffic coming out of the Meadowlands. That's why it got so big and popular over the years. You can't, but you don't need to be on the major highway to be successful.
Absolutely. And one thing I love about TikTok Diner, I was lucky enough to cover a Rolling Stones concert at MetLife Stadium for us. And Mick Jagger shouted out TikTok Diner and Taylor Ham.
Yeah.
And I was more excited to hear that than I was to hear Gimme Shelter. I yelped like a child. Because I was like, there it is. There's my story. Mick Jagger talking about Taylor Ham. I don't know. It seems to me like this might be a move that the Stones pull. Their PR people or their manager or whatever does a little research. Because when I called TikTok, they weren't able to tell me if they were there or not. But either way, it's en route. Clifton might be the best. I mean, like when I think of Jersey, I think of Clifton. When I think of diners, I think of Jersey. The quintessential Clifton diner, maybe New Jersey diner, is the TikTok Diner. So it wouldn't be my first pick anymore. It would have been my first pick years ago, but since the renovation, I gotta change that up a bit. But that is it. That's the Jersey's Best podcast, Jersey Diner Draft. Pete, you have Summit Diner, Mustache Bill's, 5-Star Diner, and Angelo's Glassboro Diner. That's your Rushmore. My Rushmore, Miss America, Bendick's Diner, Colonial Diner, and TikTok Diner. Tops Diner not getting picked. I think that's the biggest upset.
Yeah, they don't need any extra love.
They're doing
fine. Quite well, thank you.
They sure are, and so are Jersey diners. Some have closed. The culture's changing, but it's still omnipresent. It's still very strong. It's still a quintessential part of our New Jersey identity. And Pete, talking about this with you was a blast. That's a wrap on this episode. Thank you so much, Pete. Once again, where can people follow you, find your work? What should they be reading? Where can they follow you, et cetera, et cetera?
Twitter at Pete Genovese. I'm always, I'm going to a famous, legendary hot dog stand that reopened after 10 years in hiatus. So I'm going there right now. So I'll be posting pictures from there.
Where are you going?
The pool room. Charlie's Pool Room had it come to me. I've called it the most eccentric eatery in New Jersey. It was really a pool room where you can only play pool with the owner's permission. They only sold one thing, hot dogs. They were cooked in the back by two brothers on a grill, on a skillet in a kitchen the size of this table. It was just the most eccentric eatery in New Jersey. So they closed, and both brothers have since unfortunately passed away. But new ownership, and they fixed it up. Doesn't quite look like it used to. But it's still a big deal among hot dog lovers. Charlie's Pool Room is reopening, so I'm going there now.
Where is that exactly?
Alpha, beautiful downtown Alpha, right. Warren County, right off 22 and 78. So again, at Pete Genovese, of course, our Facebook page, Jersey Eats. If you're looking for a recommendation anywhere in the state, post something there, and then people will jump in right away and tell you where to go. And my Jersey Secret Sauce newsletter every Thursday at 10. I just tweeted out yesterday the link to subscribe. And this week's topic, tomorrow's topic at noon, great smash burgers at a hospital.
That's the most Pete Genovese story I've ever heard.
And a lot of those stories are like that. There's kind of this one-of-a-kind food in unusual places, or just somebody doing different with a dish. But, the hospital is pretty much the last place I'm going to go for smash burgers. But the ones, read the story tomorrow.
If you're not subscribed to Pete's newsletter, you're missing out. If you like this podcast, you will love the newsletter. It's quintessential Pete, just weird little food spots like smash burgers at hospitals. It's because no one knows this state like Pete does. Thank you to Pete. Thank you to our audio producer, James Shapiro. Thank you to our video producer, Dwayne Uzaro, our executive producer, Bobby Olivier. Thank you to Schmutzadells for our theme song. If you have any questions, episode ideas, guest suggestions, anything like that, email us at jerseysbestpodcast@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, leave us a review wherever you're listening to your podcasts. We love those reviews. We love seeing those 5 stars. And please consider subscribing to NJ.com. There's a link in our episode notes. New Jersey needs high-quality journalism, and our journalists need you. Tune in again next week. Let's say that again. Tune in again next week for the latest episode of Jersey's Best Podcast. And remember, Jersey forever.